terms of competitiveness, the European Union has rightly looked at smart specialization. Now, this is very important. This means you're building skills that makes the most of regional expertise. So if countries, for instance, if you're in Ireland, where we are very good at financial services and at technology services, and you're building skills, then you should be looking at building skills that addresses those industries, because that's where the demand is. If you're in Germany, it might be manufacturing. If you're in the Nordics, it might be digital health. If you're in Estonia, it could be digital health. So we should be looking at what are the key strengths that countries have, and building programs around those domains to facilitate the development of skills and to increase the labor force for those industries that require it, rather than creating general sets of skills right across the board. Now, that's my own personal belief. Looking at it, if you look across Europe, you see countries are very, very good at particular areas. And therefore, if you play to those strengths, and if you adopt this methodology of smart specialization, I believe it could be extremely effective. The other thing that I think what you're going to increasingly see, if you look at the startup industries, you're seeing this, what you might call ambidextrous skills. So what you're seeing are people who are now developing technologies, who have a knowledge of cyber, they have a knowledge of AI, they have a knowledge of maybe blockchain, they have a knowledge of cloud. So it's going to be an ambidextrous approach to how you integrate these technologies. So I think just knowing one technology of its own will not be sufficient. And companies are now going to have to struggle with, how do you bring all these technologies together? Now, larger organizations will have lots of people, and typically they will create teams. Smaller organizations struggle in this space. So if we're looking, and we really do struggle in this area, for SMEs to address these advanced digital technologies, they're going to require people who have a multifaceted, ambidextrous approach to understanding these technologies. So we need to bear that in mind. And again, it doesn't have to be an in-depth knowledge of all those, but it needs to give them the foundations of how those technologies come together, so that on the business side, they know to write what questions to ask. And on the technology side, they have an idea of how you bring these technologies together, or what kind of companies they need to work with, or types of people they need to hire. So that ambidextrous element is going to increase. And then the last thing I would say is, we need to increase the pool of people. And there will be a lot of people who are out there that may want to move their career into digital. So there might be people who have STEM backgrounds, STEM backgrounds in mathematics or physics or biology or chemistry, transition programs to bring those into the digital environment. So to enhance the skills that they have with a digital perspective. And that could make a phenomenal difference, because there may be a lot of people out there that would like to translate into digital. And if we had those programs, given the firm foundation of knowledge they have, that could increase the pool. So it's all about, how do you increase the pool? And I think and the last thing on competitiveness is definitely domain knowledge. We need to play to our strengths. And I think we need to start building domain knowledge into these training courses. And that will, as I said, facilitate getting those people into positions in employment much quicker, to the front line. That makes a difference. And employers then see the value, than bring them in with a general set of skills and then leaving it to the employer to build them up. Foundation knowledge, but giving them some idea of those industries. So yes, rapid skilling, domain, increasing the pool, looking at the translation of people with background in STEM, and then those ambidextrous skills. That's what I think will make the difference in terms of competition. Smart specialization. So they're my thoughts. As I said, it's based on looking at various aspects of the labor market, looking at what's happening in various countries across Europe, looking at what's happening in Ireland here. And I was fortunate enough to, as part of COVID, to be looking at about 14 or 15 different sectors in Ireland to see what the impact of COVID was. and we looked at how could we advance digital within those companies that were being impacted. And it very much, if you're looking at companies, the ones that survived and did very well were the ones who were could think on their feet. They could build scenarios, and this is, it is very much around leadership teams will need to embrace these digital technologies, and they'll need to start to understand them. One of the things that I think you will see is a greater use of scenario-based learning. It's very hard to get business people to sit down and go through courses because they don't have time. That's it. I mean, they just are overloaded. However, what you are seeing, and there's some anecdotal evidence, McKinsey did a study on this through COVID, of companies that survived and survived very well, was an ability to use scenarios to build skills in leadership teams and then go out onto the shop floor and be able to apply them. And that's the value. If business teams can see that those skills can be applied immediately and there's a return on investment, and that's a big problem for companies, to see a return on investment from training. So they can see it almost immediately because it's scenario based. That may be something that attracts business people to do this, to understand these types of technologies, because they'll see the value straight away. So I really do believe that scenario-based learning and simulation, business simulations, is a way to tap into leadership teams and get them to see the value of adopting digital technologies, particularly advanced digital. Yeah, I think what you'll see is, and this is, again, it's my own personal view. Companies, this domain knowledge, I think, is important. And I see what there's some anecdotal evidence that people are starting to move more towards bringing in people with master's level, and then maybe doing PhDs within the company to build in that understanding of the business, and also to build in that business agility, that ability to respond to different situations, to be more flexible in terms of the knowledge and the breadth of knowledge that they have. So they're getting obviously a domain level, but they're also getting a deep level of knowledge as well in particular areas. And that may be an area that you're going to see expand. You'll see more maybe internships. I think where you see industry trying to facilitate the development of skills, it will be through these programs where they bring people in. NVIDIA has a very good program called Inception, where they're helping startups. The European Central Bank has an internship program where they're bringing in females and they're helping them to build their STEM knowledge. So it'll be more and more that I think you're going to see it, more people coming in, facilitating the development of knowledge in particular domains, and then allowing those individuals to grow within those companies in order to facilitate these gaps. They're going to have to do that.